All right, guys, so today we're going to be talking about one-point perspective. I'm going to show you how to draw some boxes using the one-point perspective drawing method. So we're going to start off with a horizon line. We're just going to draw that simply right across the page. Okay, and the horizon line is where the sky meets the land, essentially. Now, I've placed a vanishing point on the horizon line. You can put your horizon line anywhere you want for the most part, but your vanishing point has to be on the horizon line. So I've placed my vanishing point just slightly off center. All right, now what I'm going to do for one-point perspective, what I feel is easy for me, is we're just going to draw some simple boxes first. So I am going to use my ruler, and and you want to make sure that your lines are parallel to the sides and the top and bottom of the paper. So I want to make sure that this line that I'm going to draw straight up and down is straight up and down just like the side of my paper. It should be parallel. It's very important to make sure that your lines are straight and that they are parallel to the sides of the paper, okay? Now I'm going to draw the top of my box, all right? Now I also want to make sure, using my ruler, to double check that this is also parallel to the top and bottom of my drawing paper. All right, so this is nice and straight, and I've drawn my first box, okay? So for this to be a perspective drawing, these three corners, the closest corners, have to go back to this vanishing point. We're going to leave this furthest corner out because it wouldn't be seen through a solid box. If we made a transparent box, you would see it, and I'll show you that. So I want to take my ruler, or any kind of straight edge would work. So if you don't have a ruler, you could use just a straight edge at home. Honestly, I draw these all the time without a ruler. You just have to be very careful making sure you're drawing straight lines, okay? Now these are called guidelines. These lines that go from the corners of the box all the way back to the vanishing point, those are your guidelines. You don't have to keep them, but they're there to keep your lines straight and for you to know that you're doing things properly in perspective. So I'm going from the corner of these boxes back to the vanishing point. All right. Now I'm going to continue doing some more parallel lines to the side of my paper. I'm going to draw another line. I want to go a little bit further back, right here, straight up and down, parallel to the sides of the paper, right? And within my guideline. I mean, I went a little bit out of the guideline, but I'll fix that in a second. Now I want to draw the top of my box. And that's got to go, again, parallel to the top and bottom of the paper. All right. Now, if I go back and I darken my box up a little bit, you can see I have now drawn my first box in one-point perspective. All right, now if I have a light source, which we're going to put, if I put a light source over here, I might have a shadow, or I would have a shadow that comes off the box. What I'm going to do for this drawing is I'm just going to simply extend this guideline, and I'm going to extend this guideline, and I'm going to draw the end of my shadow, and it should also be parallel to the top and bottom of my paper. Now that's my shadow. And when I shade this box, that will obviously be darker, okay? So that's my first box in one-point perspective. Now let's put one off to a different side of the drawing, okay? So I'm going to start off, again, my first line here, straight up and down, parallel to the side of the paper, straight up and down. It's really important you do that. If you draw the line and it's crooked, it's not going to look proper, okay? I'm going to draw the bottom of my box. I'm going to go straight across, parallel to the top and bottom of my paper, straight across. There's my box. Now I want to draw it in perspective. So from these three corners, the closest corners to the vanishing point, I have to draw my guidelines, okay? So I am going to go straight back. I'm finding my line. That's pretty straight. Straight back. And then from this corner back to here. Those are my 3 guidelines. I'm going to put another vertical line parallel to these lines and parallel to the sides of the paper, and another horizontal line parallel to the horizon line, the top and bottom of the paper. Everything lines up. Okay. Now, realistically, the shadow would definitely be distorted. It's not going to run just like this. If light's coming this way, I'm probably going to have a shadow that looks more like this. But yeah, I guess it would be something like that. All right. If you put the light source directly above the horizon line, then both shadows would look like that. And I guess that would be simple. Here, I would have to really be looking for observation to get that right. Let me get my eraser. Clean my eraser off. I had a little problem there, so I have to clean that up. I'm going to clean that up right there. There's 2 boxes drawn in 1-point perspective. Let's do one more. This time I'm going to put a floating box above the horizon line. So I'm going to draw straight up and down, straight up and down. My horizontal line parallel to the tops and bottoms of my paper. All right, you want to check these, make sure they're valid, make sure they really are parallel. All right. Now I'm going to go from the 3 closest corners back to my vanishing point. Drawing my guidelines. Okay. I'm going to put the end of my box right here. And then this line would run parallel to the top and bottom of the paper. And there is my floating box in 1-point perspective. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead off camera. I'm going to shade these for you and I'll show you the finished example. And then you're going to attempt to draw these yourself. All right. Thanks, guys.